I'm black, I'm gay, and I'm voting for Donald Trump.
Meet Rob Smith. He's a black conservative who's an Ivy League graduate who is very, very opinionated. He specializes in short form content, and he's an adamant supporter of the right. But the difference between Brandon Tatum and Candace Owen and other black conservatives is that Rob Smith is gay. And this is a big, strong part of his selling point, because he loves to mention that not only is he African American or black American, he's also in the LGBTQ. And this is supposed to be a big selling point because Donald Trump and MAGA is not only reaching, whites or just the black conservatives. They are going to reach out to people such as Rob Smith, who happens to be in, let's say, a political gray area for the right, black and gay. Him choosing MAGA is showing that, number one, MAGA is not racist and MAGA is not homophobic. And you will even hear Rob Smith telling blacks that, hey, white people are not your enemy.
And you better get like these white men. You better watch how these white men are moving, because these white men are building businesses. These white men are not asking for permission. These white men are not trying to be on anybody else's platforms. They're not begging to be on this show or that show or somebody's podcast or whatever. They are going out here and building their own stuff. So if you want to have something of your own, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to have your own brand, if you want to have all of your stuff, you better watch what these white men are doing. And y'all are messed up, because y'all think that these people are the enemy. You think that they're out to get you. You think they're trying to kill you, like all this other crazy stuff. No, you need to watch how these people move.
Here is Rob Smith telling the black community, you better start moving like these white men. These white men are building businesses, and you as blacks are not. Get on your stuff. They're not asking for permission. They're out here getting it. And largely, let me just say this. I don't disagree with what he's saying. I believe that as blacks, we could do a lot more for ourselves with not asking for permission. So when Rob Smith is saying this, he's not technically wrong. In a way, this is coming from a good place. But unfortunately, things like this happen.
Oh my God, look at that. I got some fans. Wait a minute. Gay sex, gay sex, gay sex, gay sex, gay sex.
Now, remember when I said that Rob Smith was gay? This is Rob Smith being confronted by those good quote unquote white men, and they're trolling him about his sexuality. That is why you heard the term gay sex, and they are singing it to him, not because they like that sort of thing, but they are mocking him. And this is why he went on to CNN to say this.
This hate crime was very real. They did say the N-word. Absolutely. That was not caught on video, but that did happen. So I had a choice to de-escalate the situation with humor, which is what I did.
So now a black conservative is going to CNN, which, if you guys don't know, is heavily Democratic. And he's literally telling on those same white racist men in which he wanted us to be like, because remember, those white racist men were not racist, according to him. They are just out here trying to get that money.
Boy, you don't sit your stupid ass down. Who the you think you is?
And then it got worse.
So the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists wanted me out of the Republican Party, and guess what? I'm out.
This is Rob Smith saying, listen, you Republicans wanted me out of the movement. I'm gone. This is what you guys wanted. I'm out. And this is important to know because, we got to understand the wider context of why Mr. Rob Smith is saying that. And shout out to the amazing Lucas. He made a really, really strong video on this same topic. But Rob Smith basically miscalculated his leverage. You see, if you're a black conservative, you need to talk about black people, white liberals, and that's it. You are not supposed to say things like this.
I go to a lot of political events. Like, I'm really out here in these streets, especially being back and forth to DC. And the vast majority of people that I see, particularly men in Republican politics, are just disgusting. Like, you're not physically fit. And my fear is that Republicans are like getting ugly again.
Damn, damn, damn.
Rob, you out here with a tank top on, probably just got through working out and you're going to be insulting the overweight white men of the Republican Party?
Damn!
See, Rob, you forgot one thing. As a black conservative, you have a few things to do. Number one, make fun of the black community. That's right. You need to hold black people accountable for them making all the mistakes. And at the same time, when white folks make mistakes, you're not supposed to say anything about that, right? Number two, you can talk about white liberals if you like. That's always good because white liberals are the other group you can talk about besides the quote unquote ghetto people in the black community. 3, repeat steps 1 and 2, but never, ever, ever should you talk about white men, especially the ones on the right. You didn't get the memo. And this is why Rob Smith is basically being a tweener right now. He doesn't know where he's supposed to be because right now Rob Smith is lost. Like, Republicans don't like him and he doesn't like Democrats. And he really, really wants to come back to the right. And again, shout out to Amazing Lucas. He made a really strong point with this. And now that the Democrats are kind of winning elections around the country, he's saying this.
So Republicans lost Virginia, New Jersey, and Zohran Mamdani is the new mayor of New York City. Republicans, white boy summer is over and a cold winter is here.
So his point is that, you guys who are anti-gay, you guys who, don't like blacks like me, well, that's the reason why you're losing in elections. And he doubles down.
If this straight white Christian man stuff that's going on X, if that was really the leadership of the Republican Party, and that was really who was coming out to save the party, then they would have showed up in New Jersey to vote. They would have showed up in Virginia to vote. They would have showed up in New York to vote for Curtis Sliwa. But they did not do that.
So in other words, because black gays like him are being, discriminated against in the party, this is the issue with MAGA. And I get where he's trying to go, but just like the Amazing Lucas said, blacks in the Republican Party have a role, but their role is to not challenge the system.
He's right,
Take it from a guy, myself, who votes Republican. I will vote for the right, but see, I'm not trying to get accepted by the white. See, that's the difference between me and you. And see, the problem is that people like Rob Smith, who are, MAGA or on the right trying to impress white people, they pretty much find themselves in contradictory statements all the time. Let me explain what I mean. Rob Smith is a black American, African American, and he clearly has no problem, stating that when he's at war with Africans.
I am not an African. I am a black American. What that means is that my entire family has come from America. I am the descendant of people that were slaves. That's what that means when I tell you that I am a black American. That means that the people that have been in my family for generations built this country.
So in this case, he's saying, listen, don't get me, confused with an African. Don't get me confused with a Haitian. I am clearly a black American. And why is that?
That means that my grandfather, who served in World War II, that helped fight and defend this country, and was, by the way, denied GI Bill benefits because he was black, is a part of the history of this country.
Yeah, because I'm a black American because my grandfather, served in this country and he was discriminated against, couldn't get GI Bills and all of that. Clearly, Rob Smith is tying his lineage to his grandfather, who was denied like GI Bills or certain rights even after serving in the war. He's saying that to prove that's how American he is. So he understands that my grandfather went through a racist time in this country. But then he turns around and says this.
As a black person, it is offensive, the idea that I've gotten anywhere that I am based on anything other than hard work, merit, and actual qualifications and receipts is offensive. And I think the Democrats, when they're pushing this DEI, they don't know how offensive it is to qualified black Americans.
No, he says, listen, anybody who accepts DEI versus taking hard work, I don't want to be like them. That's not who I am. But at the same time, He understands that his own grandfather was robbed of an American right simply because he was black. So in other words, if he were to accept something like DEI or something else, then that would be bad because, well, basically he didn't work for it. But his grandfather worked for certain things and he didn't get it, and he felt that that was unfair. Let me just add on to this. I'm not the biggest fan of DEI, but if a black person is benefiting from it, I would never want them to lose their job because of situations like what he's described. Black people also deserve a hand up in this country. You know, affirmative action, I also wasn't against that because of why? Well, he just talked about it. But see, clearly Rob is saying these things because he wants to bootlick to the white right. And the issue is with the white right is that they don't want him, okay? Remember when Rob was trolling Republicans and the Democrats were winning all these seats because it was a white boy summer? Yeah, I played that clip earlier in the episode. But let me just tell you how contradictory he is.
All right, can somebody tell me, how are you a gay for Mamdani? Like, make it make sense. How are you a gay liberal that is supporting Mamdani, that is supporting this man that comes from a culture that hates gays, that literally throws them off of buildings, that kills them? This is that culture. And you're going to tell me that you're a gay liberal in New York City and you want to vote for Mamdani?
So on the one hand, Republicans are losing, seats in the Senate and the House of Representatives, largely because they are anti-gay. But the people who are gay who voted for Mamdani, they're sick because Mamdani is a Muslim and they have harsh penalties for gays.
Boy, y'all sit your stupid ass down. Who the think you is?
And this is why people like Rob Smith don't get taken seriously. You see, at the same time, Rob is telling black people that they need to not take permission. At the same time, while Rob is telling black people that, listen, you need to get your business together and don't ask for permission like these whites, he's literally begging for permission to get close to these same exact whites. It's amazing because Rob Smith does not want to build his own platform outside of whites. I can guarantee that Rob Smith does not work with any blacks. He doesn't work with any black conservatives, nothing like this at all, okay? He wants to be close to white people, and he's upset that they have pretty much kicked him to the curb. And again, I want to give a shout out to the amazing Lucas because he covered this in a way better format than this. But this is a sign to all blacks, not just Republicans, but Democrats. If you don't have your own party, or if you don't have your own stuff, you don't have any leverage. And clearly, when you don't have any leverage, you just basically go back and forth and flip-flopping like this guy Rob does, and nobody respects you. The only space that blacks have in MAGA is that of being subservient to whites. That means calling blacks out, calling white liberals out, and shutting up. They don't want to hear you or any other black person challenge the status quo. The only room for black conservatives are the ones who are willing to self-fund in their community and basically control their own narrative and then possibly vote Republican or Democrat. If you're not going to do that, it literally doesn't matter. I really wish that people would stop saying, get rid of the Democratic plantation and vote Republican. And don't get me wrong, I do like voting Republican because of the values, but at the same time, Republicans will still use that leverage against blacks if blacks are not self-funding their own initiatives or if blacks don't have an agenda. The same exact thing will happen that's happening with Democrats. Because we don't understand political leverage, we end up in very shady situations. And at best, you end up like a guy like Rob Smith, who will do anything to get a few trinkets to get accepted, and ultimately you're mocked because you don't own anything, you don't have anything, and you don't have any community that supports you. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy Shady Jackson back at it again. Another episode of Celebrity Junk. Appreciate you for all you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.